What's up, everyone? This is Colonel Fats coming at you with episode 1 of the Fatty FighterZ Training Series. In this episode, we are going to use the training mode to effectively learn Blockstrings. This is actually what I would call step 2 in the process of picking up a new character. So whether you just got the game or you're just trying to find something new because you're getting bored, if you want to pick up a new character, first step I'd say is to do the combos, but then second is to do what we are going to do in this video, and that is learn the block strings to keep that pressure on your opponent and mix them up. So let's get into it. Alright guys, we've made it into the training mode, and first things first, we are going to make sure that we can see our frame data. This may or may not be already up for you, but it's good to just know because we are going to need it for a later part of the video. So we go into the menu, go to info display settings, go down to attack startup and frame advantage info, and turn that on. Alright, now that we've got that set, guys, let's move on to our block strings, which, first off, what is a block string? Well, in fighting games, whenever you block an attack, you're stunned for a moment in time, and then while you're stunned, you're not able to hit a button, you can't do anything. And then in games like these, or Marvel vs. Capcom, you can string your lights, mediums together in a certain order so that the opponent is forced to block for a long string of attacks, aka a block string. Most characters' block string is the same, it's universal. It goes from light up to heavy. Certain characters have certain mechanics that will give them the reverse beat where they can actually go from medium to light, but we're not going to be touching on that at all. Most characters have the generic block string of light, light, medium, medium, heavy, special move. Now, the big key to this is figuring out what special move to use to finish that string. And what else can we do? Can we throw in a key blast? Because some characters can. 21 can. So we're going to figure that out as well. So moving on, like I said, light, light, medium, medium, heavy, into special is typically the longest block string most characters can do without assists to extend them. And then we'll also touch on that, how we can use our assists to then extend our strings and make people block for what feels like an eternity. Now that we know our generic string, now we're going to work on figuring out which special move can fit in there. Obviously, it helps to know what your character's special moves are. For 21, we really only have 2. We have our quarter circle back attack and our quarter circle forward attack. Some characters have different attacks on their S, but 21's is a grab, so that will destroy reflect. But that's not a block string then. Grab beats block, so we're not blocking no more, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is test those out, and how we do that is we're gonna go into the training menu, go to enemy settings. He's already set to guard all. We're gonna scroll all the way down to counter attack settings, and to set him to reflect, we need him to go back key blast. So back is always left, assume he's on the left. And then go to S, which is A for Xbox controller, even though I'm using a PlayStation controller. I don't know. But whatever. So now he's going to reflect whenever he feels a gap. Whenever he can. It's not whenever he feels it. He will reflect whenever there is a gap. So now we're going to do the same string, light, light, medium, medium, heavy. Just verify that works. So now we're going to do her moves. We'll start with the slam. Hey, that worked. He was able to reflect after the slam, so the slam was fine. Nice. And now, just because I know it works, and you can also test this with your characters, throw in a key blast after the heavy before doing the special. Still wasn't able to reflect in there, so that's true. So she gets an extra attack in her strings. Does not work with every character. This is why you have to test things. Alright guys, now we're going to do the same thing with Android 21's other special ability and see if there's a gap in the block string. See if we can't get that. And would you look at that, there is. So if he reflected into 2M there, we were getting punished, and that is not good. But say your opponent's not mashing reflect, they actually think your strings aren't tight, and they're going to try and take their turn away. They're going to attack with a counterattack light. Let's just see what happens. Boom. He eats the ball right to the face. Can't punch that. So definitely mess with your opponent mashing reflect and your opponent mashing attack in your strings. If there's a gap, usually if they're mashing attack, typically your attack is going to beat their light. So then you can then vanish, punish his attempt at hitting the button, and then laugh at him. So that's how it's good to know if there's a gap or not in your strings. Because a lot of the times, I'll do my strings to 21 like this, call him my assist. He tried to hit a button, and he wasn't safe. But then afterward, I noticed they're trying to mash out of all my unsafe stuff because my timing's not perfect. I can then punish them. One quick thing to mention, when you're doing the special moves with the characters and testing them in your strings, make sure you test all versions of it. When I say all versions, do the light, the medium, and the heavy, because some characters, the properties change and they don't work. I actually just know from 21 that all of her dives work, light, medium, and heavy. He's still stuck, and none of her balls work. He reflects that ball, he reflects that ball, and he reflects that ball. They don't get any increase in attack startup, so he can still reflect. So there's always going to be a gap. So it's good to note to check each variant of your special moves in that string. Now we're going to test our characters, not only the specials, but also the normals in terms of their frame data. We pulled up in the info display settings the frame advantage, as you can see, because we need to test to see how safe are our moves. How safe are we after our opponent blocks? Can we still hit buttons? Do we have to call in an assist to keep it safe? What do we got to do? So first things first, to test that, we need to make sure the counterattack settings are set to none. If he hits a button, the frame advantage is going to read off of the last button push. So it'll actually read like us blocking his attack, essentially. So what we want to do is now test all of the normals in terms of the frame advantage. And before we do that, I just got to give a big thing. Frame advantage in this game, magic number is 5. Oh, magic number 5. Because at -5, after I do the move, and I'm just going to show you now, because I know her slam is -5. At -5, I am able to reflect an enemy counterattack, and I'm able to backdash and dodge as well. So just to demonstrate, because we know her slam is -5, we're going to set him to just counterattack. He blocked. I fucked up. See, at -5, I'm able to reflect. It just so happens that her M is -6. Can we reflect after a -6? No. No. Well, we shot him in the face, but no. You can't reflect on -6. But you can reflect on -5. It's a little more tight. It's the tightest it can get. Obviously, at 6 you can't do it, and at 5 you can. If you have moves with your character like hit, a lot of hits moves are actually -4. He has more time to be able to do that. But we can reflect there, and we can backdash. So if you have a move that's -5, you can end your block strings there, and not only be safe to block, but also be safe to reflect. Now that we know our -5 rule, now let's go ahead and start testing all of our moves and see what if we land them in strings, because as we can tell, the ball doesn't land in strings, so you can reflect that. But if it does land in the string, how safe or not safe are we after that? So like I said, we need to get the AI to not counterattack so we can see the frame data. So we'll go with light. That's a -3, so we're safe to reflect and backdash. Light, -4, so we can reflect and backdash. 2L, -2, so we're super safe there. This is, as we know, -6, so we can't reflect or backdash. We are stuck blocking if for some reason we ended our string there. 2M, -10. That's really not safe, so we don't want to do that. As you can see with heavies, -8, so he's open for business. -19, not safe. So now the range to be able to block after the attack is, I believe it's 6 to 7. If you're at 8, because as you can see 8, we can't even block. I'm holding back after I do it and I can't block. So -8 is the minimum high value to not be safe, even to be able to block. Like, that's very important to know. So we know her H and 2H are not safe, so now let's go on to the moves. We'll do the quarter circle back. Oh, he's at counterattack settings, so we gotta change that off. So we do the quarter circle back. -5, so we can reflect and backdash. -5. -5. So all of them, and just because I know it's 21, if we do an ability and slam, all of her slams are -5. So if you're fighting someone who's button happy and you're 21, and ending that, oh, there was a gap. I didn't do my string right. We can reflect and then punish. So that's really huge to know. So now that we know all of her slams are that way, let's check the balls. Can't do that because he's counterattacking. Check the ball. -10. So we already know he can reflect in the string, but if it does land, we are -10. We are open for business. That is not safe. So really don't want to use the ball in the string. But there's other things to know. There's a big gap, so it needs to be a pretty fast, long-reaching attack to cover that distance. So we're -10, but we're also kind of safe, but not really, because he can also reflect it. So it's all about testing and learning through combat what people do in terms of things that aren't truly safe but work. So the up ball doesn't hit if you do 2 end of the combo, but when it does, -4 also leaves a huge gap. So let's just set him to counterattack. 1, there's a gap, so honestly we can't actually test this. But if he mashes buttons, because that's not, well, actually we can set him to this and just not do the light. So it hits. His jab does not reach me, so I can just do that into that. Bam, full punish. So -4 can be really good. Also, distance moves push your character away are also pretty huge. So definitely think of that when you're going on. And then the third thing, let's check the ball. He's counterattacking. The heavy ball is +1. And you have to know all aspects of your character. This one's a little special with 21, but if you give her an ability with the ball, it actually becomes +5. If you give her 2 abilities, it gives +10. +10 is like, yeah, you're safe. +15 and +20. So I could probably throw that out there and cross up, and that's dirty. But then you waste all of your abilities, so it's a hit or trade. But that's 21 specific. So now that we know certain things like that, if you're, remember the rule of 5. If I'm +1 or if I'm +5, they're -5. So he can actually reflect my incoming attack. Because he's -5. Oh well. Oops, meant to set him to reflect. See, he can reflect my follow because he's -5. So you might think, I'm positive I can attack. No, he's -5, rule of 5. He can still reflect your follow-up attacks. So it's very important to know that. Alright guys, now that we've got our block string down and we've got our frame data, it's time to put it all together with the assist. Assist can make your opponent block for so long. It's really frustrating. If you can master this, you can really infuriate your opponents by making them block forever. And how you do that, it's completely different between your assist and your character. So we're just going to demonstrate for 21. They all work in a general similar concept in that after the assist comes out, stuns the opponent, you then go up and hit them before they come out of the assist hit stun. So we're going to use Janemba here, and we're going to demonstrate by going with 21's full string, extend with Janemba, then we're going to dash up, and then we're going to do it again. And he's set to reflect, so if we fail and there's a gap between our assists, then we got to work on it, and that's the whole point of training. See that? Boom. He's stuck in string again because we called the assist at the proper time. He wasn't able to hit a button. Now, that really wasn't the greatest of anything. As you saw, I just ran up and hit light. All he had to do was block. He could have blocked low, he could have blocked high. It really didn't matter. What you really want to do is mix in your timing. You can either, how to mix people up in terms of an attack. You go high or you go low. So afterwards, we can either go high or go low. So let's demonstrate going low. We're going to do the whole string again. On the assist, and then go low. See, Goku is forced to block there. He crouched down and blocked. The AI's like, oh, I had to block low. So if your opponent doesn't do that, then it's open season. Then you got combo. Now, the other option you can do is you can go high. And you really got to work on this. This one is key. Because if you're late, if you're like just, oh, I got this, I'll just call my assist and do an instant air dash in and jump. If you're late and your opponent sees that you're late, they're going to 2H you and you're done. So it's really imperative to work on the timing on these, especially, if you're really trying to get good. So we're going to call in the Janemba assist, and we're going to try and jump in and land that. And that will keep us safe in string. See how the jumping attack keeps us safe? So we're going to try this. See, that was way too terrible. So we got to try it again. See, my timing's off so you can reflect and punish me. Didn't have enough hits done. And then my assist was too late. So it's really, really imperative to get this timing down. I mean, obviously not everyone's going to be reflect champion of the world, because if they're not perfectly timing their reflect like this AI is, then you have a little bit of leeway. But just to get everything perfect, you really want to work on stuff like that. Now, I highly doubt he could have 2H'd that. That looked pretty tight, but he wasn't tight enough to not be reflected. Yeah, I just totally botched that one. Let me try one more time. See, I was too late, so now he punishes me. Oh, I was too early on my Janemba assist. That time I was too late. So there's a lot of finicky stuff to go along with learning your team's strengths, especially if you're going to be jumping in like that. Because if you notice as a defender that your opponent seems a little sloppy with their timing, mash 2H, see if you can get it out there. If they like to do their jump-ins rather than going in low, mash it out. Get them, and it's an easy punish. Or reflect it, and you can reflect punish them as well. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. And that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of Fatty FighterZ Training Series. We covered the block strings, we figured out what move to end it in, we learned about frame data, and we wrapped it all up with assists. So make sure you get out there and practice. And let me know in the comments. Any feedback is seriously appreciated. If I suck, you hate my voice, or you think I did okay, and you want to see more content, leave it in the description. Throw a comment. But anyways, this is going to be Colonel Fats, signing off.